Well, as I told the children, today we're in the Old Testament. We are in the book of 1 Samuel, at the very beginning of 1 Samuel. We're looking at chapter 1, and we're going to be looking at verses 1 through 20. And the heading is Samuel's Birth and Dedication. And I will apologize to those scholars of Hebrew as I slaughter these wonderful Hebrew names this morning, but I give that apology in advance. There was a certain man of Ramatha, a Zephite from the hill country of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, son of Jeroham, and son of Eli, son of Toha, son of Ziph, an Ephraimite. He had 2 wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other was Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. Now this man used to go up year after year from his town to worship and to sacrifice to the Lord of hosts at Shiloh, where the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were priests of the Lord. On the day when Elkanah sacrificed, he would give portions to his wife Peninnah and to all her sons and daughters, but to Hannah he gave a double portion, because he loved her, though the Lord had closed her womb. Her rival used to provoke her severely to irritate her, because the Lord had closed her womb. So it went on year by year. As often as they went up to the house of the Lord, she used to provoke her. Therefore Hannah wept and would not eat. Her husband Elkanah said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? Why is your heart sad? Am I not more to you than 10 sons? After they had eaten and drunk at Shiloh, Hannah rose and presented herself before the Lord. Now Eli the priest was sitting on the seat beside the doorpost of the temple of the Lord. She was deeply distressed and prayed to the Lord and wept bitterly. She made this vow, O Lord of hosts, if only you will look on the misery of your servant and remember me and not forget your servant, but will give to your servant a male child, then I will set him before you as a Nazirite until the day of his death. He shall drink neither wine nor intoxicants, and no razor shall touch his head. As she continued praying before the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was praying silently. Only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she was drunk. So Eli said to her, How long will you make a drunken spectacle of yourself? Put away your wine. But Hannah answered, No, my Lord, I am a woman deeply troubled. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have been pouring out my soul before the Lord. Do not regard your servant as a worthless woman, for I have been speaking out of my great anxiety and vexation all this time. Then Eli answered, Go in peace. The God of Israel grant the petition you have made to him. And she said, Let your servant find favor in your sight. Then the woman went to her quarters, ate and drank with her husband, and her countenance was sad no longer. They rose early in the morning and worshipped before the Lord. Then they went back to their house at Ramah. Elkanah knew his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. In due time Hannah conceived and bore a son. She named him Samuel, for she said, I have asked him of the Lord. Now this is a bit of scripture where I could easily go on for 40 or 60 minutes talking history. This is a very history-laden bit of scripture. We're talking again about the birth of Samuel. Now, here we have these 2 wives. We don't know which one is the first wife, which is the second. But Peninnah is the name Peninnah in Hebrew means fertile. And Hannah means attractive or beautiful. So we look at this interaction between them. There very well may be. One has children, so she's holding that over, because it seems that Hannah is the favored wife. She's the one that Elkanah seems to really be more endeared to. He gives her the double portion. And here, many times in the commentaries, when he is trying to console her, and he says, Am I not more to you than 10 sons? Many times Elkanah unfortunately gets a very bad rap there, his insensitivity and his arrogance, thinking that he is all that. And rather, I would present to you that probably that's not the case. He's probably no different than many of us men today when we're at a point when we're trying to console our wives and we just really don't know what to say. And so many times, being men, we say something stupid. And so we don't really help the case. So I don't think it's anything where we want to besmirch Elkanah as being wrong-hearted or not understanding. It's just that he really doesn't know how to console her. And so we'll give him a little bit of a pass on that. But this poor woman is distraught. She is so distraught that she goes and she's praying before the Lord. And Eli comes to her. Now, Eli is an interesting figure because Eli is basically, it appears at this time, is retired because his two sons have taken over the worship there at Shiloh. And the problem he has, as we learn later in Samuel's writing, or in the books of 1st and 2nd Samuel, those two are corrupt. His sons are corrupt. And he may be thinking, you know, I've done all this work, and my sons have taken over for me, and now look at the mess they've made. And he himself could be quite distraught if he realizes this at this juncture, which he probably does, because we tend to realize our children's shortcomings early on as parents. We understand our own shortcomings later, probably, but at any rate, so Eli may not be in the feeling that his legacy has been what it should be. He's looking at, maybe my legacy is the end of the judges. Perhaps that is what he's thinking. And it really is, because this woman comes to him. She's making this pledge that if he will just give me a male child, I'll dedicate him to be a Nazarite. Now we have to understand that Samson was a Nazarite. That's probably the Nazarite we know the most. Different people, there's different theories. Some theorize that Jesus may have even been a Nazarite. I don't believe that. But we do know that James instructs Paul to go through a Nazarite ritual at the temple just before he's arrested in Acts. So there is some connection to Jesus and Jesus' families to the Nazarite rituals, at least. But at any rate, she's praying for this male child, or for a child, specifically a male, because in her culture, a woman's worth is based on two things: either being a virgin or having a child. Now, we can discuss the wrongs of the patriarchal society, but that's what it was. That's the way the world was. But here she's praying for this male child, but then she turns around and says, "But I will give him up as a Nazarite," which would mean that she's giving him up for God. He's not available to her then. He's not available because of that commitment to take care of her. He is pledged to God. So she's asking for this male child. We could say, well, because she's in her own self-interest, she wants this male child. She wants a male child, and she's going to give it to God. She is going to give up that security that would come from having that child. She's an important figure, though. She gives birth to Samuel, and then he is dedicated to God. He goes to be with Eli, and he becomes the last of the judges. He's the end. And his important role is not only as being the last of the judges, as being a prophet, but he is the man that God sends to anoint first King Saul, and then when Saul loses his way, he sends him to anoint King David. And of course, we know King David's role in the legacy of Christ is through the house of David that Jesus comes and will come again. So David is an important figure. By extension, Samuel is an important figure. Hannah is an important figure. Eli is a very important figure. For him, not only is Hannah at her last wits, at the end of looking at, if something happens to my husband, I have no support. She's about to give up. But Eli, I have to assume, is also understanding that I'm at my wit's end. What good has come out of my ministry? Little can he know that blessing he gave to him. He didn't even know what she was praying for. He gave her a blessing without knowing. May your prayers come to pass, is basically what he said. That blessing was the tool that God used to bring into Hannah's life her son Samuel. So, the thing that we don't know at this point, and then we do know in the next chapter as we read on, is that Hannah does give Samuel up. She gives up out of her faith that security that she now has. Many times when we want to negotiate with God, we want to make the negotiation, and when God comes through on his part, we want to go, hey, God, I was just kidding, but thanks a lot. I'll see you later. I'm going to go now. But Hannah doesn't do that. Hannah's faithful, and she takes Samuel and leaves him with Eli to be trained to become a servant of God. And we know that she's blessed with more children in the next chapter. And so, because of her faithfulness, God blesses her. She couldn't have possibly seen and couldn't have understood what was going to happen. She did not have any idea how important her life was to each and every one of us, because she's in a direct line of the passing of these things that had to come to be to have ultimately Christ be born 2,000 years ago. And we prepare in just another, prepare the sanctuary, but in a couple weeks we'll have Advent, and we'll kick it off, and we'll really get into the spirit of Christmas. Without Hannah, we might not have had that. So this woman that we want to look at as being insignificant, she's hugely significant. We look at our own lives, we may think we're insignificant. You're hugely insignificant, because you can't look down your lineage nearly far enough to understand the impact that your life may have. You may live your life thinking we didn't make a difference. We as a church may think our church really didn't make a difference. We've been here, between the two churches, the Baptist and the Disciple side, 150, something like that total years. And we might think that if it would come to pass in another so many years that we cease to be, we might be tempted to think back, we failed all those people when we let things, come to pass. And many churches are going through that where they feel we failed. But you just don't know. You don't know. And I've said this many times from the pulpit, and I will say it many times more. We don't know the good we do, and we don't need to know it. We just need to do it. We just need to be faithful like Hannah. We make that deal with God. We make that prayer. We say to God, if you just give me the strength to get up today, I'll try to be a blessing to someone. I'll open a door for someone. I'll tell someone, have a good day. At the checkout counter at Walmart, I'll tell the cashier, God bless you, or have a blessed day. You don't know. That might be the smile that person needed to keep from committing suicide that evening. You don't know. You don't need to know. You just need to do. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so very much for the witness of Hannah. We thank you so much for that faithfulness. We thank you for all the many, many stories that we sometimes don't spend enough time on in the Old Testament. All these stories of faith, all these stories of relationship, all of these stories of success and failures as well, dear Lord. We ask that you let us learn from them. We ask that you let us understand that we don't need to understand, that we just need to do. We pray all of this in your love and in your glory.